Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in. Every 4 years, millions of us sit completely captivated, watching countries from all around the globe compete on the biggest sporting stage. We get the dramatic cinematic shots, we hear those passionate anthems, and we watch the beautiful game unfold. But for so many of these nations, they just kind of disappear from our screens as quickly as they arrived, leaving us with barely any understanding of the actual people and the culture behind the jersey. So, in this explainer, we're embarking on a journey to discover the incredible, hidden stories behind the nations we see on TV, but let's be honest, know almost nothing about. And today, we are starting with an absolute African football giant. Welcome to Côte d'Ivoire. So what is the actual story behind the badge? It's a question we really don't ask often enough. When you see those brilliant orange, white, and green flags waving in the stadium, and the fans are dancing in the stands to the beat of African percussion, what is truly happening back home? What lies beyond the 90 minutes of football for this powerhouse nation? Well, as we're about to see, the story of Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, is filled with incredible natural wealth, a deeply fascinating history, immense resilience, and without a doubt, one of the most passionate fan bases on the planet. Section 1. A hidden giant, geography and demographics. Right, so Côte d'Ivoire structures its major cities in a pretty fascinating way. Yamoussoukro actually serves as the official administrative capital, but Abidjan is the true heartbeat of the country. It is genuinely one of the busiest economic hubs in all of Africa. Picture this, a modern, towering skyline set right against busy streets filled with vibrant local markets and the smell of amazing street food. And woven through all of this beautiful chaos is, of course, football. For the young fans here, daily life literally revolves around the game. Practically every alleyway or dusty patch of land near a market is completely transformed into a pitch, where kids play barefoot, dodging foot traffic, and emulating their absolute heroes from dawn until the sun goes down. Situated on the southern coast of West Africa, bordered by nations like Ghana and Mali, all this incredible energy is generated by a massive, highly diverse population. Around 32 million people call Côte d'Ivoire home. Now, while French is the official language across the nation, the true cultural fabric is way more complex. There are actually over 60 local languages spoken across the country. Geographically, this population is spread across a gorgeous tropical climate that transitions remarkably, going from lush, dense equatorial rainforests down in the south, all the way up to the high, sweeping savannas in the northern part of the country. Section 2. The Global Engine. Cocoa and Agriculture. Okay, before we even touch on sports, we absolutely have to look at how this nation connects to your daily life. If you've had a piece of chocolate today, there is a very, very good chance it began its journey right here. Côte d'Ivoire is actually the world's #1 producer of cocoa beans. That's a massive deal. Alongside huge exports of coffee, rubber, and palm oil, agriculture really forms the absolute backbone of their economy, directly supporting millions of families. But, despite this incredible natural wealth, a lot of farming communities still face significant economic challenges. And because of that, the dream of a professional football career becomes this massive beacon of hope for so many families. Section 3. Division and Strife, a Nation Tested. To truly appreciate the triumphs of this nation, we have to understand the really severe challenges it has navigated over the years. After gaining independence from France in 1960, the nation actually prospered for decades, becoming one of West Africa's strongest economies. However, by the early 2000s, things changed. Côte d'Ivoire faced severe political instability and a tragic civil conflict erupted, deeply dividing the country. But right in the middle of this intense political strife, something completely extraordinary happened. Football emerged as a miraculous unifying force. It became the one single thing that could unite people, completely regardless of their politics, their religion, or what region they were from. Section 4. The Golden Generation. Football as Unity. During the nation's most turbulent political era, this truly extraordinary group of young men stepped onto the global stage, basically playing for the very soul of their country. If you've watched football at all over the last 20 years, you already know these icons. Didier Drogba, undeniably one of Africa's greatest ever players, and he was joined by heavy-hitting superstars like Yaya Touré, Kolo Touré, Wilfried Zaha, and, more recently, carrying the legacy forward, Sébastien Haller. Together, they built what the football world universally recognizes as a golden generation. I mean, they were so dominant that they qualified for 3 consecutive World Cups, constantly challenging the biggest football nations on earth, and ultimately turning football into an unbreakable part of the Ivorian identity. But it was what happened in 2005 that cemented their legacy forever. In 2005, amidst all the bitter division and the ongoing civil conflict back home, this golden generation achieved the impossible. They secured Côte d'Ivoire's first ever qualification for a World Cup. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated emotional climax for the entire nation. The celebrations in the stadiums and back on the streets of Abidjan were just overwhelming. But what happened next, in the dressing room? That is what truly changed history. Right in the midst of these massive, chaotic qualification celebrations, Didier Drogba gathered his teammates, invited the television cameras directly into the dressing room, and literally fell to his knees. On live television, broadcast to every single corner of a deeply divided country, he made an unprecedented, intensely emotional plea. He directly addressed the warring factions of the civil conflict, begging both sides to forgive each other and to just lay down their weapons for the sake of the country they all loved. And here is the most astonishing part of this whole story. Remarkably, a ceasefire followed shortly afterwards. Now, the sources are clear that football didn't just magically solve every single complex political problem overnight. But this historic moment demonstrated the extraordinary, almost unbelievable power that sport can have in bringing people together. It literally halted a conflict. Section 5. A lasting legacy. The elephants today. That golden generation laid a foundation that goes far, far beyond the pitch. And that exact resilience was on full display recently. In 2024, Côte d'Ivoire hosted the Africa Cup of Nations, right on their home soil. And wow, the tournament was a roller coaster. They were nearly completely eliminated in the group stage, totally written off by pundits around the world. But, channeling that trademark Ivorian spirit, they fought back, completing one of the greatest comeback stories in modern football history to win the entire tournament. The street celebrations, the dancing, the fans waving those flags, it was a resounding victory that reminded the entire world to never, ever underestimate the elephants. So, the takeaway here is pretty profound. The next time you turn on your TV and see the Côte d'Ivoire badge appear at a World Cup or an international tournament, you're going to know exactly what you're looking at. You'll know it's not just a football team. You'll understand the bustling economic hubs, the rich agricultural backbone providing the world's cocoa, the deep historical resilience, and a legacy of players who literally helps bring peace to their nation. There is far, far more behind that badge than just 90 minutes of football. And that wraps up our deep dive into the incredible story of Côte d'Ivoire. We've honestly only just scratched the surface of the hidden stories behind the world's most fascinating football nations. So I want to leave you with this question. Which country should we discover next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to explore the incredible world behind the beautiful game.